Good afternoon, good morning, good evening, everybody, wherever in this great world you are. Welcome to the webinar, Illuminating Microsoft 365. It's a joint webinar series with PAIT Group and me, Joy of SharePoint. Today, we are going to explore the possibilities of the pretty new Office app. It's kind of one app to rule them all when it comes to the various Office applications. Not so much the Microsoft 365 apps such as Teams, SharePoint, OneDrive, but Word, PowerPoint, Excel. Again, my name is Joy Apple, also known as the Joy of SharePoint. If you are new to the webinar series, thank you so much for stopping by and spending some time with us today. I am a modern workplace strategist and lead trainer with PAIT Group. I'm also the host of the Joy of SharePoint webinar series. And I have been working with Microsoft products and technologies for 12 years now. Time to update a slide. And I tell you, being in this game for as long as I have, the best is yet to come. The last few years have been amazing. I have with me Richard Calderon. Richard, how is your day going?
Good afternoon, Joy. Day's going really well, thanks. It's already flying by at this point, but you know what? Day doesn't fly by these days with everything's going on. So yeah, I am affectionately known as Joy's twin, workplace twin here at PAIT. Basically because we do a lot of the same types of things from all across the Microsoft 365 set of services when it comes to collaboration, communication, trying to drive user adoption, and really trying to help understand what the business value and purpose of these tools is for, not just having technology for the sake of technology. That's the type of stuff we just love talking about. Similar to Joy, I've been doing this for a really long time as well too, and that is why we love conducting these webinars, to really just kind of help you guys understand some of these various nuances that maybe you just hadn't had a chance to get into just yet. So today we're going to dive into the Office mobile app. If it's something that you haven't or haven't tried, we're going to go ahead and switch over to a poll. This is something that we typically do because we just want to get a little bit of information from folks in the room at this point. So let me bounce over here to the poll. And in addition to just simply kind of who's who, we wanted to understand a little bit about the way that you might work when it comes to mobile. And
hey, Richard,
I'm going to go ahead and
I just want to let you know that your audio, your sound is just a little choppy.
Let me try seeing if maybe shutting video down on my end helps a little bit. Okay. Not sure if it's any better or not at this point.
I think it's better.
Sounding good right now.
Yeah, thank you.
Okay, thank you for letting me know. Okay, so in addition to who's who, a couple of things we were interested to know is in terms of your role and your work style and the way you get things done, how likely are you to want to work on documents, that is Office documents primarily, but any kind of document while you're out and about on the go, whether it's something you would typically do or not. And then also, just because of the topic of today's meeting, we wanted to understand whether you've had a chance to actually download, install, and start using the Office mobile app just yet. Because again, we're going to dig into how great it is. So let's see what kind of results we have so far. We've got a single response. Thank you for weighing in at this point. We'll see if we can get a few more responses in here and see where everyone's take is on the moment. So I'm getting a little bit of bad network quality here. How about you, Joy? How would you describe the frequency with which you actually need to get access to your documents and maybe even do some editing while you're out and about, grocery shopping or running errands or things like that?
Or as we were saying earlier, back in the olden days when we could get on airplanes, we'd work from the airport, right? Oh, I miss those days. And I'm going to ask you if you would again real quick, pop that QR code up for us if you don't mind. I know I myself was a little slow to the action, but I tell you this, I'm feeling like the Office app may get my attention and take some of it away from OneDrive. OneDrive has always been my magic go-to app because let's say I'm at the airport or the grocery store, or I need to think about a problem for a client. So I'm going to go take my dogs for a walk and ponder. And that's usually the time where someone needs something right now. So used to, I would go to OneDrive and share that file, right? Because OneDrive's where I keep my personal work content, and it's super easy for me to get a document and share that appropriately with my coworkers or colleagues. Well, now I can do that from the Office app, and that's the one app that I need to also be able to jump in and edit things if I'm really needing to get something done on the go, which happens quite a bit. I think quarantine has changed that rhythm quite a bit for some of us, but it's still important to get outside of the house to do a little bit, even if it's going for a drive or a walk somewhere out in nature. And it's nice to have those files right there. So I am a frequent on-the-go editor, unless it's Excel. I mean, I just can't even think about manipulating those little grids on my iPhone.
Understood. And I agree entirely. We've talked about OneDrive many times being a kind of a game changer. And I feel like this Office app has also changed some parts of the game as well, too. So, I've heard someone say once before that, it's not your device that needs the Office tools. It's you, the person. You need those Office apps and tools with you wherever you go. So again, being able to have it on your mobile device and basically in your pocket or wherever you keep it so that you can get to those tools. That's what makes this app really, really handy. So looks like from the responses we've got so far, we've got a few IT pros, some folks from management, and a number of people that indicated very likely needing to be able to access those docs on the go. One that says somewhat unlikely, that's totally fair. And then a few kind of half and half roughly that have been starting to use the new Office mobile app. So great. Thanks for sharing this with all of us again. Feel free at any point in time to respond, just weigh in on that poll, and we appreciate the responses. So let's jump back out to a couple of the slides. So again, if this is something that's somewhat new to you at this point now, the new Office app, again, it's been out for a little while, and actually it's been out for Android for quite some time, and now also available on iOS for the iPhone, not for the iPad just yet. iPad support, according to Microsoft's documentation, will be coming at some point in the future. But essentially, this Office app is an all-in-one application that combines Word, Excel, and PowerPoint all into a single app. So if you were like me before, you probably had downloaded and installed all of the individual Office app tools. You had the standalone Word app, the standalone Excel, and the standalone PowerPoint app. Mm-hmm. Well, now you can effectively have the single app, and you can either choose to keep them or not, but truth be told is within a day, I deleted all of those other apps off my phone because I realized how great this app was.
Okay, I'm going to call you out on that. Really?
Yeah, go ahead.
You're very trusting.
I did. I mean, I always felt like, hey, if I needed to, I could always reinstall them again. But
it's true.
Yeah, it really, once I started playing around with it, it became clear to me that, this is the way forward here, having it all in one. But, you might think to yourself, well, okay, what's the big deal? Like, it's so great. I've used these Office apps in the individual form on my mobile device for a while. What's the big deal about kind of redoing this as an all-in-one app now? Really, what Microsoft's take on it is that when you think about the unique characteristics of a mobile device, that obviously it's the small form factor, and that it is something with which you use to take advantage of features like the camera. You use features like, obviously, you talk with your phone, and a lot of people talk at their phone these days too, where you talk and have it dictate out what you're saying, et cetera, et cetera. Those unique capabilities are the types of things that Microsoft was really thinking about when they were reimagining this new Office app. So again, we're going to highlight a number of those and talk about some of the use cases. Again, as I mentioned, it is currently available on Android and iOS, iPhone only at present. And so when you think about what can you do with this, oops, too many clicks. What can you do with this Office app? Well, other than the obvious ones where you can create and view and even share Word, Excel, PowerPoint documents, there's a number of other really cool things you can do. And so this would play here. This is a video. Get it to play. There it goes. Okay. Yeah. Thanks to Joy for recording the little video there. So if any of you are fans of, I am a fan of sticky notes, which is something that is kind of pervasive across a number of applications. It's built into Windows 10. If you just go to your start menu and start typing in sticky, it'll pop up. So you have sticky notes here. But you can also get to sticky notes in a couple of other places already. They show up in the OneNote mobile app. They show up in Outlook. Outlook.com and Outlook on the web. So you can get to those sticky notes in a couple of places. Well, you can also get to them now in this all-in-one Office app. You can also do PDF scanning of documents and even pictures and photos and things of that nature so that you can create PDF documents. You can actually do signing of PDFs. Again, that's something that's really handy to do if you're necessarily on the go and have a need to be able to imprint a signature onto a PDF document. You can convert Office documents to PDF. And again, using that unique capability of your mobile device, which is having access to the camera, the Office Lens utility, which I know many of you are familiar with, that's been around for quite some time as well, is now embedded into this Office app. So Office Lens, which allows you to be able to effectively scan, take a photo of either a picture or a whiteboard or a business card or something like that, and then be able to make some adjustments and tweaks to it so that it's clearer or that it's cropped in a certain way. That is just all built into this app as well now too, okay? So we're gonna dive into a number of these things. Let's do that now. Let's talk a little bit about this Office mobile app. Let me get it fired up here again.
I've enjoyed using the Office Lens pre-COVID-19 to take pictures of my hotel receipts when I'm on the go, because I can save them right into my travel folder inside of OneDrive. So it's super easy to go back and get them out later for my expense reports. So
yes,
one of my favorite features.
Absolutely agree. Absolutely agree. So I'm using an iPhone, and again, I believe I'm not as familiar on the Android side, but I believe it's a very similar experience here. So I'm going to demonstrate how this works on an iPhone for you. So again,
Stacey's
I've got
nodding her head yes, that it is a very similar experience.
Okay, good, good, fantastic, fantastic. So I use, you know, everybody organizes their phone a little bit differently and so forth. But the way that I tend to organize things is I have on my second screen here, and boy, it's going super, super slow at the moment. Let's see if there's anything I can kind of shake loose here to make that a little bit better. I use kind of the second screen here, if you will, when I swipe to the left on my iPhone is kind of my work-related apps. And as you can see right here, there is the all-in-one Office app. Kind of that's what it looks like with the new Office logo whenever you install this app on its own. And so I'm going to try to get ahead of this here a little bit. It's going a little bit on the slow side. Going to see if what I can shake loose here by maybe closing some apps and so forth. Okay, maybe that's a little bit better. Just sort of shut down PowerPoint for the moment. Okay, so when you open this, and again, I've logged in as this demo user. Love to use these demo users because they've got all kinds of data and stuff that we can look at. But logged in as this demo user here. Her name is Megan. And as you can see, when you launch the home screen, it looks a little bit different than what you've probably been accustomed to seeing whenever you launch the other apps. The thing that I like really about this home screen right off the bat is, again, one of the benefits in Office 365 that we just sort of take for granted now is that it knows things about us and it serves up information that is going to be relevant to us based on our role, based on our identity. And so in this case, it knows who I am, and it is showing me recent documents that I have accessed or made edits to and so forth. And again, because it's all in one app, it's showing me Word documents, Excel documents, PowerPoint documents, and even those sticky notes, as I mentioned a minute ago. It's all here on this home screen for me able to get access to. I can easily use this icon up here to be able to open up a folder view of different places where I can actually get access to files. And again, it's just going super slow in rendering here over my home network.
It's the curse of the live demo.
Yeah, finally coming about here at this point. Okay, so you can get access to documents that are in files that are sitting on your phone. You can, if you decide to log in, you can also get access to your cloud services like OneDrive or SharePoint. So just something to note, you could certainly use the Office app without having to sign in. In that case, you will be limited to being able to create and edit and store files on your device and do some simple file transfer, which we can talk a little bit about as well. But if you have a Microsoft account or if you have a work or school Office 365 account, when you sign in, then you're also going to be able to get access to, again, those cloud services like OneDrive and SharePoint. Okay. So one of the things, again, that I really like is the fact that, again, I'm a fan of sticky notes. So if you use sticky notes, you can actually see that you can see any and all sticky notes that you might have created here. Being able to create sticky notes is really as straightforward as you use this big plus sign here at the bottom of the app to be able to get to a couple of different capabilities. And one of those capabilities here on the left here initially is notes. So when you click on notes, it's going to effectively just allow you to take a quick note. And again, just is dragging slow. It's always when you're trying to demonstrate something.
Well, while it's being slow, I want to give a shout out to notes, because I'm going to be very honest. There's just something. There's something I'm addicted to when it comes to writing with a pen on a piece of paper. Like if I need to take notes really fast, it sticks in my mind, and I like writing down a note, which now means if I look at my desk, oh my gosh, if you could see my desk, I would be so embarrassed. But I'm probably looking at a dozen, we'll say analog sticky notes stuck to my desk, not my desktop, right?
Yeah.
Which means if I happen to clean house, or I'm going to go work from a coffee shop or something, these notes aren't with me. Where's that note I jotted down about what my client needs that I'm working on today? Oh, I don't know, because it's physically on my desk at home. But if we start transitioning to these sticky notes, anywhere you have access to a device with an internet connection, you can get to all your notes. That's pretty powerful. Truly, truly is. Okay. So
super powerful. Yep. I agree the same way. Yeah, when I first started using notes in Windows 10, it kind of struck me as like, oh, that's a novel thing. And, maybe I might or I might not use it. But the more I started using them, the more I started realizing, hey, that's actually really useful for all those reasons you described, that I've got those notes that I can think of in terms of a sticky note with me in different places, in different app experiences. And of course, in this case, I can have it with me on the go through the mobile device. So sticky notes are something super easy to do. You might say something as simple as pick up these groceries. And in this case, I just, did the dictating speech to text in this case here. So pick up these groceries, and maybe I'm going to add, an image off of my phone. And my wife and I like some of these that you can, get some of these recommendations on how to help your kids eat more healthily and things of that nature. So there is an image that's eventually going to come up here that I had on my phone that is just some great things that, again, maybe some different kinds of fruits and vegetables and whatnot that you can actually recommend for your kids to be able to eat, how to talk to them about that. And so there you go. So it's as easy to be able to add, text to your notes, maybe add some images to your notes. It's also super easy to be able to come in here and, if you want to change the note color and things of that nature, you can do that as well. And then you're all good. Now, what I would like to just show you, just for the sake of doing it, and again, this is if my device is going to agree with me here right now, is I'm logged in as this user and showing you that, again, this is sticky notes in Windows. So here you can see that note that just showed up here. And this is actually sticky notes in Outlook on the web. So if you didn't know this, actually, Outlook on the web, one of the kind of what looks like folders down here is notes. And so when you select that, it actually is going to show you those sticky notes. And again, all of these are synced across all of these at the same time. So if I were to come here and say a new note in this case, again, we'll see how quickly this goes, but this is a new note. And as I'm typing in a new note, again, when everything is all reacting and responding the way that it should, you'll see that these notes, in fact, do get synchronized across those services all at one time. So again, I think that that's pretty useful to be able to have the notes option. So there it goes. It's just taking dreadfully long to be able to do that. Okay. All right. So notes is a simple thing. I'm going to close these out and see if maybe these apps also give me a chance to get a little bit better performance going on here. And going back to the mobile app. Okay, anybody know any good jokes?
When I did training with virtual machines and there would be a lag, I'd ask for knock knock jokes. So
Yes, please feel free to enter some knock-knock jokes into the Q&A while we're going through this here at this point. Okay, so sticky notes, that's one option of things that's pretty useful to be able to do. Another thing that, again, if you just explore through the app that you'll see is, again, when you hit this plus sign here at the bottom, it is going to open up some of those capabilities here on the phone. And so I'm going to go ahead and pop this open. Again, we looked at notes for a second ago, but the next thing I want to show you is when you talk about Lens. So again, this is Office Lens that allows you to be able to scan content and then be able to do something with it, essentially, on your device. And it's just taking ages for this to come up at this point here. So, okay. So here's the use case. So maybe, in this case here, this is a printout magazine version of the Harvard Business Review that I have. And, maybe I've been thumbing through this because I'm sitting at the airport waiting for my flight. And I might find something interesting in this particular magazine that I wanted to recall or be able to keep track of for some point in the future. And so maybe it's this page here that has this glossary information. So, what you might typically think about doing is I'm just going to take a picture of that. And obviously, if I take a picture of it, then I've got it for reference later. But if you did this through the scanning capability of Office Lens here inside of the Office app, what it does actually is it allows you to be able to, there's some AI kind of intelligence behind the scenes, that in combination with the OCR optical character recognition that's going on here. But you notice that when I do this, it outlines one section of this page. In this case, it knew that there was like a separation here in the page. I could even use that cropping tool to say, no, I want this to be a larger part of the page, or I want it to be a smaller part of this page. But again, as you can see, it just zoomed in on this section that is the glossary, and then I can just choose next to go through this. In this case, what I did was I chose for this to be converted into a Word document, which now is going to allow me the ability to be able to go in and make even further edits to this information. So again, think of how that's useful in that, there's paragraphs of content here, and rather than having to rely on simply a photo of that information, I could actually come in here and have that content created as editable Word content so that I can come in and add more info and make edits and so on and so forth. So you can see it's certainly not perfect. At least this kind of depends on how clear the image is and what the lighting is and things of that nature. But a lot of it really came about. And as you can see here, even as I scroll down, it attaches or includes the original image here in this Word document as well, so that I can still refer to the information. Super useful, because then I don't necessarily need to go back and flip back through the magazine pages again. I can just simply, scroll up and down and refer to, okay, well, it missed something here, or it didn't quite interpret something there. So what is it? And I can go back and make all the edits. So I think that's really useful. There's also in the mobile experience the ability to effectively look at this in a mobile view. So you can take this from this mobile view here, rather in the print layout view, and then switch it over into a more mobile friendly view. So again, this is prior to me actually making any updates to this, but nonetheless, as you can see, it's a little bit easier to consume when you switch that into a mobile friendly format, because it just kind of takes away all of what you would normally see in a print layout view. Okay, so I found that pretty useful. I think that is something that a lot of people, especially when you work with a lot of printed content, whether it be newsletters or anything else, or contracts that are made available to you in printed form, that ability to be able to scan that in and then be able to work with that even in a Word document, I think that's really, really compelling in that case there. So there's that option there that you could do. Another one that I like here in terms of what you can do with Word. Now, so we looked at a second ago how you could use the lens to be able to effectively take printed content, and then bring it in to Word. But you also have this other option here for documents, which gives you a slightly different set of options of things you can do. And Microsoft, when you click on that button, it takes you to this broken down by the 3 different apps. What you'll notice right off the bat is, you can certainly do the basic things that you would expect to be able to do inside of each of these. So if you wanted to start a new Word document from a template, that's super easy to do. You can just say create from template. You can do create from template from a Word document. You can do create from template from an Excel document. And you can do create from template from a PowerPoint document. Similarly, you can also start from blank from any of those, okay? None of that is like super, super interesting to me. But again, just suffice to say, if you wanted to, you could certainly start from blank or a template for any of those. But one of the other ones I find really interesting here in Word, again, this is something that's somewhat unique to a mobile device. You could certainly do it on your desktop. The ability to dictate into Word. And I don't know that I've seen a whole lot of people really take advantage of that just yet. But I know that, hey, I tend to be pretty wordy. And if someone were to just sort of take notes for me all the time, I would love that. So in this case, Word, you can actually use the dictate feature to effectively just say, okay, I want to have Word start keeping track of what I'm saying here at this point. And what's really cool about this is, at least it's trying to at this point. Let's see if it'll actually start dictating. Again, it's always when you're trying to demo something.
Always.
Yeah. Can I just say that this was working right before the webinar and then just be done with it?
Oh, I know.
Yeah.
I'll say I'm a huge fan of dictating. So we have this slave driver on our team named Stacy that's always looking for blogging content. And
me?
Here we go.
yes, you. I probably have 4 blogs that are in some phase of semi-completion. I'll actually, if I'm out going for a walk or something, I'll start dictating to start a blog because I can't stop and write. So people just look at me like I'm a crazy person because I'm talking to nobody. But it works really well.
Yeah, I do it in text messaging all the time. And as you can see, it's slowly starting to come up now. But rather than just sit here and wait for my machine to respond to all that, what I will point out for you is that you can speak to it to include the punctuation as well, which I think is really, really useful because again, when you're just dictating something out, you would like to be able to say, you know, hey everyone, exclamation point, and then it puts an exclamation point on the end, or you know, what do you think? And question mark, and then it adds a question mark to the end. You can even say new line, and it'll, you know, it'll put a it'll move the text to the next line, and so on and so forth. So you have the ability through dictation to be able to not only be able to speak what you're trying for it to dictate, but you can include all those abilities for punctuation as well. So really, really cool and useful. And then let's see, going back into actions again here, I mentioned a minute ago that you can choose to sign in or not sign in. I found this relatively useful if you don't have the ability to sign in because maybe you don't have a Microsoft account or you don't have the a license for Microsoft 365. Maybe it's someone in your family who's just kind of getting started using mobile devices, one of your teenagers or so forth. You can use the Office app without having to sign in. And one of the many things you can do is also transfer files. And so what you do essentially is you go to transfer.office.com on your PC in this case, and you can do a send receive. And essentially it's going to work as simple as that. So if I hit send here, and let me open up a web browser and see if I can get this to go. We'll go to office.com. Transfer.office.com. Okay, I'm not going to do that. I think it's just going to take way too long. But again, this would be something that I would encourage you to just play around with. It's actually really super simple file transfer. What it does is it allows you to scan a QR code on transfer.office.com. When you scan that QR code, it's going to pop up a PIN number that you have to validate on both devices. So you're going to say, is the PIN number matching from what you're seeing on your phone to what you're seeing on office.com, transfer.office.com. And if those two numbers match, you just say okay. And then it allows you to either do a send receive. So you can either upload files from your mobile device, and then they will just simply show up over on transfer.office.com so you can have them on your PC, or vice versa. So that's a pretty useful utility if you don't have a Microsoft account at work or a personal account where, you know, again, we would use OneDrive or SharePoint typically for that kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, cool. It is pretty cool, yeah. So another thing I'm going to try here really quickly and see how this goes is there is this option to do image to table, and I found this to actually be pretty useful, quite honestly. You can do this one of several ways. You can do this by taking a picture of a table that's on some printed paper of some sorts, or let's say you are on the web, on your mobile device maybe, and you found some article that has some information that is in a tabular table format, and you thought to yourself, hey, that's pretty useful information. I'd love to be able to grab that info, take it into Excel, and then maybe do some additional, analysis on it. So here's an example of that. I was kind of browsing around and I found some kind of interesting salary information based on different locations for these different roles, and I saved that picture to my phone. So now I use the scan to table feature on the Office mobile app, opened up this picture, and then as you can see, I also used the cropping tool to say how much of this table do I want the Office app to try to include and analyze or scan into an Excel workbook. And so when I expanded it to say I wanted to include this information, this is what it looks like, okay? So it did a pretty decent job, actually, of taking this in. And it's giving me a preview of it right now because it's highlighting a couple of places where it thinks it may have found some errors. But actually, those aren't errors at all. The words are pretty super clear to me as far as I'm concerned. So you can do a couple of things. You can either say copy, or you can just simply open it. And of course, if it says there are some items for review, you could certainly walk through the review process. But I'm just going to say open anyway in this case. And then it's going to just take that table, and there you go. It opens it up right in Excel. Again, it's mobile, so the way that I would go about doing this is first thing I would do is I would pivot my phone over. So I'm going to flip my phone to its side, and let me get this in widescreen view again here so we can see this. Okay, so I'm going to flip it to its side so I can see a little bit better. And then I'm going to make sure I want to expand both my columns and my rows here. Okay, so it's just a button click away to expand the rows and the columns, and boom, that makes it nice and big. And then it is also, this is a table, so I want to make this a table. So I'm going to go ahead and use this sort of actions ability here. It's a little light bulb, and it says, tell me what you want to do. And as you can see, I recently used this, so I'm just going to click on table there. And then it just automatically, just like it does in the Excel desktop app. Of course, it's going so slow.
I'm going to say I think this is one of the more powerful things that it does. To be able
Definitely.
to take data and put it into an editable Excel file. Even though I'm not the biggest Excel fan in the whole wide world, I recognize its power, and
Yes.
that's a little piece of magic.
Yeah, so there you go. It's it really looks like a very usable table in Excel, in which case then I can do all the things that I would expect to be able to do in a table, and filter and sort, and there's a slight bit of data correction that needs to be done in that row right there. It didn't quite get that these are zeros, and it put them in as O's. So I'm going to go ahead and just fix that here real quick, and boom, then it's done. Okay. So again, that ability to be able to scan in a table and then be able to have that now in Excel in a format in which you can effectively work with it as an Excel workbook, pretty slick stuff. So highly encourage you to give that a whirl as well too. Okay, so I'm going to delete that, and then let's go back and look at a couple of other things. So image to text and image to table, those are kind of those two core actions that, again, are using the unique capabilities of your phone, essentially. One of the other really interesting things about your phone is, again, because it's a touch screen and because you have the ability to use your finger to swipe around on it, you can actually do signing of a PDF. And that's actually a pretty useful thing, I think. And if your business process is something where you just need to kind of get the ink or the virtual ink onto a PDF, then why not? Give that a try. This is certainly not a replacement for actual digital signatures in this case, where you need that, digital signing authority, essentially, to be able to say, that this has officially been signed by all the parties and it's kind of certified digitally and all that kind of stuff. This is just putting ink onto a PDF, essentially. But I've got a single PDF here that I'll open up. It is, it's actually just a Goodwill receipt from a donation that I made at some point recently. And I actually have used this for some other examples before, but I'm going to go ahead and open that up. And what you will see, regardless of what PDF it is you will see this here at the bottom that says tap where you wish to sign. So I'm going to go ahead and choose to tap into the center of the screen there. And so then it does this for you. It basically says, okay, well, you can go ahead and give it a signature. So I'm going to start inking here, and you can even change the color of the ink. So maybe I want to change the color to blue or something like that. And then you can also optionally store the signature if you wanted. So then that way now you've got that signature to use again. And then you just click done. And when you've done that here, it basically is just going to drop that signature wherever you told it to do so. And as you can see, there it is. Maybe that was, that's the address here in this case, but maybe that's where I wanted my signature, okay? And then you can also say sign in other places again. If there were other parts of the document where you needed to sign, in this case here, it pops up the fact that I've saved that signature. So I can just choose that from the option of my saved signatures. And then just, again, it's just gonna pop it in here in the document. So again, I think that's pretty slick. I can think of a couple of cases from customers recently where they wanted something almost exactly like that. And so, you could certainly do that if you have a touch-enabled PC of some sorts, like a Surface or any of the other types of devices that have touchscreen enabled. You can certainly do it there. But I think that's really cool, though, to be able to do that from your phone. Again, it's something that we all take for granted, that our iPhones and our Android phones are touch-enabled. So it allows us to be able to do that. Okay. All right, so again, just kind of going through what I feel like are some of the really useful capabilities that you have in terms of the all-in-one Office app. The other kind of last one I'll just showcase to you, which I think is relatively useful, it may not be as useful to others, is the ability on the PowerPoint side. So we talked about scanning text into Word and to be able to have that editable. And then we talked about scanning text into a table, into Excel. But you also have the ability to create a PowerPoint presentation literally from a handful of pictures that you have. So I'm just going to show, for example, maybe you've got some photos on your device, whether it's photos of your kids, and here's all my kids going swimming and stuff here in the summer. Or it could be anything that you've got photos of. But as long as you have them on your device, you can choose from a handful of photos. And when you select those and say, in this case here, I've got 4 selected, so I'm going to go ahead and create a PowerPoint presentation from those. What the Office app is going to do is going to take each one of those photos now and effectively create a new slide from them and just embed those photos into that. So I'm going to go and rotate this over and show you what that looks like. And then if I put this into the mode where I can actually start to edit this, I'm going to say my awesome kids. And then I'm going to go ahead and just play this. So here's my awesome kids, and as I'm swiping now, it's just
we're still watching typing.
Yeah, I was gonna say you can see how slow this is going for me here today. But eventually, what you'll see is it just allows you to swipe through. And again, it's really, really useful on the app that you have the ability to come in and make these edits and to be able to rearrange photos, add text, and so forth, and basically build a full-blown PowerPoint presentation right here on your mobile device. Again, it may not have, it will definitely not have all of the extraordinary capabilities that you get from the desktop tools, but the fact that you can spin up a PowerPoint presentation from some photos relatively easily, again, is also that's a pretty compelling capability.
Well, and let's think about that for a minute. We've had clients rotate through before. I have some folks I've worked with pretty recently that they have someone go out and look at living arrangements for elderly people or folks that they maintain their housing. So if you think about being an on-the-go mobile worker, essential worker these days too, going somewhere and taking those images rather than just uploading 7, 8, 10, 20 images one by one somewhere, they could take those pictures on their phone, create a bundle of them in a PowerPoint presentation, and then share that with their team. Here's where we were, here's the information. So you could have one upload as opposed to 10 or 15. There could be some time-saving effort in that, on the go, getting those images out there.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
Okay.
there's a lot of good, use cases for being able to do all this stuff on the go.
Yeah, I agreed. I think again, it's really one of those where you'll have to, if you haven't tried it before, you'll have to get the app on your phone and start just kind of walking through some of these capabilities we're showing you here for maybe a light bulb moment to occur where you suddenly think to yourself, this would be super useful because I do this either every so often or on a fairly regular basis and so forth. And so just kind of showcasing here again, I took another scan of a front page of a kind of a community newspaper that comes into this area where I live. And as you can see, that this is basically what it did, is it took the image, which you see above here, and it just pulled out all of the text content here. And again, it's not perfect, but still nonetheless, I think that it did a pretty decent job of grabbing it. And what I might do with that then in this case, oops, okay, getting away from here, is I might just take that text and then go drop that into a sticky note or something. Okay, so I'm going to go in here and say I want to take that, drop that, paste it into a note, and when it renders here again, you'll see not perfect, but then once it's in a note, it allows me to be able to come in and make additional edits and changes. I can share this with others now. Pretty cool.
Well,
okay, so
oh, sorry, but I was going to say I was thinking back in my server admin days, where someone would have an error and you tell them, walk them through how to send you the correlation ID, and they just take a screenshot. That would drive me crazy because you could copy and paste that, people.
Right, yeah, exactly.
So, the ability to take a long string of numbers from an image and convert that to usable text, yes, please. Even if I have to send it to or open it on my mobile device, that's okay. I'd do it in a heartbeat.
Sure, yeah, absolutely. So let's see, do we have any questions or anything that popped up at this point along the way?
Nope, super straightforward and very, very, very friendly. I love this app.
I do too. And again, please don't take the slowness of the demonstration for kind of the experience. It really is super slick.
Super slick.
Yeah, it's not slow at all. You're going to have to, like I was just saying, you're going to have to just kind of download it, install it yourself, give it a whirl, see how the use of any of those capabilities really aligns to things you might need to do. Yes, ma'am.
Oh, okay. So it says, does the new Office app integrate with iOS ShareSheet? Previously, only OneDrive interacts usefully with the ShareSheet.
Not that I am aware of, but it might be something to follow up on, to be quite honest with you, but I haven't seen that integration. I will say, let me see if I can pull this back up again. Yeah. No, the only thing I've seen is the ability to add additional storage accounts, but not integrated directly in with, an iOS capability in this case. So something to follow up on, but not to my awareness, no.
Okay. Now I love the app simply because I told you earlier that when I'm in the, when you're sitting there waiting for something and you had this dead space and you know that you could get some other things accomplished, it's a very user-friendly, high functional app to get you to be able to keep being productive.
Yep, absolutely. So PowerPoint is not even responding to me at the moment here. I think my device is just killing.
Enough.
So you wanted to pull the last slide up, Joy. That would probably
yes, give me 2 seconds and I will have that
sure.
up. I'll show off the amazing
pretty
power speed of my computer today.
Take over and share.
Current slide. Let me do the loop-de-loop here. We've all been there. We know.
I think my device is probably just up for a reboot here today, but thanks for bearing with, everybody.
No worries. Absolutely no worries. Is it Sharon?
It's thinking about it. I had to say something snotty and then it said, no, sorry, lady. Not if you're going to be like that.
So how about this? Yep, there it is.
Yay. All right. So the next webinar do I have my date right? Is it really 2 weeks away? Is really August 11th?
Yes, that is. You're right. It's
That's
August 11th.
insane. People, how are we already through? This has been the fastest, slowest year of my life.
Mm-hmm.
It's just been odd, but we are all in this together because this Microsoft community is awesome. But on August 11th, we're going to have an interview with the intern. That's right. Straight from PAIT Group and Joy of SharePoint, interview with the intern. We are going to be bringing in our very own PAIT Group intern, Bergen Rackley, and we're going to interview him about his experience with jumping into the Power Platform bone-chilling experience for sure. I'm totally showing my 90s vibe right now, but we're going to talk to him about his experience with coming up to speed with Flow, Power Apps, maybe a touch of Power BI, but Flow and Power Apps are really where we're going to talk what he's found useful with getting up to speed with coming on board as a developer resource, and kind of his favorite things, what's been his challenges, and have him showcase and demo, some of the work that he's most proud of as our intern. So we really hope you can join us for that. It's going to be a lot of fun. Bergen is a blast to work with, so we're excited about it.
Yeah, very excited about it. And he's very enthusiastic as well.
He is. He's still young and fresh. He's not old to beat down like we are.
No.
But please do find Richard or myself on social media. We've got our Twitter handles up on the screen, email addresses, and also those QR codes would take you directly to our LinkedIn profiles. We both like to share all of the goodness that's going on in Microsoft 365 with you, keep you up to speed. So find us, interact with us, ask us any questions you have out there. We are always happy and look forward to engaging with you out on social media.
Definitely. Anytime something comes up from either this webinar or any past webinars that you might have attended, feel free to weigh in, because we know that there were some questions that come up all the time, and maybe you just didn't think about it until you watched one of the previous webinars. But yeah, please do reach out to us. We'd love to be able to connect with you.
Fantastic. Have a great day, everyone.
Thanks everyone.
Bye.